Bilal El Khanous's effort saved by Matt Seltz. Cody was on hand to turn home. And then Morgan Gibbs-White up the other end only a few minutes later, converting from a header of his own. And Anthony Elanga delivery was nodded in by Forest's main playmaker. In the second half, Forest managed to get themselves back in front. Gibbs-White involved again. Chris Wood with the header plants it beyond Jakub Stelarczyk to make it 2-1. But a Leicester equaliser after brilliant set-up play by Jamie Vardy was converted with style by Facundo Buonanotte, and they could have won it at the end. Buonanotte had a chance, Vardy had an opportunity. Even 15-year-old Jeremy Monga saw his name up in lights, denied by Seltz, and right at the very end, Victor Christiansen saw one elude him right in front of the travelling Foxes faithful, which would have seen a very memorable 3 points. In the end, nothing to split them. Final score, 2-2. Your thoughts, Matt?
Well, I think overall very enjoyable to watch, wasn't it? Very entertaining in the latter stages. A few goals to enjoy as well, and plenty to enjoy from Leicester's point of view. That much of the emphasis was on Nottingham Forest and what a victory today, an expected victory, could bring them. But we're here to focus on Leicester City, and the longer the game went on, the easier that became and the more enjoyable it became. They started playing with a little bit more freedom, a little bit more belief. And we mentioned at the outset of the game, Leicester trying to survive early on and then grow into the game. You have to say they did that. They got themselves in the lead, which was pegged back, which you expect to a degree. That Leicester Forest are a very capable side, but Leicester can take a lot of positivity from that. And there was some. It was overall spirited, I suppose is the word that comes to mind easily enough. But there was some intricate and very well developed play out there. The goal, but the second goal being the prime example of that. I think it was excellently worked, and in the very immediate short term, and also looking ahead to next season, that brings encouragement.
Well, the Leicester players are over on the far side applauding the supporters who have made the short trip here to the City ground. It is a point for both sides, a point which means Forest will be playing in Europe next season. Not sure which competition just yet, but they have given up ground in the race for the Champions League, as Leicester City have dented their hopes in this East Midlands derby, which at the City ground in the Premier League finishes Nottingham Forest 2, Leicester City 2.
They limited them to few opportunities, didn't they?
There we go, Niall McCorn and Matt Elliott at the City ground. Matt, stay where you are. We're going to get more of your views as we go through the post-match reaction. And also, do get in touch if you're watching it on Facebook. We'd love to see your messages and see what you thought of the game as well. Before we go any further, get you up to date with what's gone on elsewhere. So the early game finished Newcastle 2, Chelsea 0. And then also kicking off same time as Leicester, Manchester United 0, West Ham 2, and Tottenham 0, Crystal Palace 2. So the table looks really interesting tonight. Obviously, we've got Nottingham Forest just outside of those Champions League places now. Aston Villa above them, Chelsea above them, Man City, Newcastle, Arsenal and Liverpool above Nottingham Forest. At the other end of the table, obviously Southampton, Leicester, Ipswich, the team's already gone down. And then just above the relegation zone is Tottenham and then Manchester United. Phenomenal. What has gone on with this Premier League season?
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? It makes it full credit to the teams that have done really well. Your likes of underestimated teams, your Bournemouth, your Crystal Palaces, and obviously Forest and a few others. So yeah, it's good to see a bit of difference and seeing me being a Leeds fan, see Manchester United suffer.
James has been in touch saying, where did that final 5 minutes come from a Leicester point of view? Because that was very exciting and Leicester looked really threatening.
I'd say longer than that. Where did the last 20, 25 minutes come from? Forest got off to a really good, quick start in the second half. Got the goal, really good goal, good quality from Gibbs-White, good header from Chris Woods. But then I thought we responded really, really well. I thought Ruud van Nistelrooy, the timing of his substitutions were excellent. And Buonanotte coming on, and not just because he scored the equalising goal, but his play in general was really bright. That's as good an away performance as I've seen from Leicester this season. A few weeks ago, went to Brighton and got a really good point. But to go to Forest and to perform like that, and possibly should have won it at the end. It's just a shame that they haven't done it quite as often as we would have liked.
It was one of them performances, wasn't it? That looked like Forest had run out of ideas the last 10, 15 minutes, and Leicester certainly the team looked like we were going to score on the counter attack. Forest putting balls into the box from deep, where really they don't do that too often. And Leicester defended it really well, kept the likes of Elanga, Morgan Gibbs-White quite quiet, and it looked like they were going to hit teams on the counter attack. And there's a few opportunities that could have won the game eventually, but it's a good point, it's a good result, and a good performance.
Yeah, what did you think of that equalising goal, Facundo Buonanotte?
Yeah.
He just brought a different element after coming on.
Well, that's what he can do, can't he? He gets involved in the game. He can do things that other players can't do at times. And obviously, it's a great move in the first place because he goes up to Vards and he flicks it round the corner to him, and he drives into the middle of into the box. And it's not great defending from the centre back because he lets him come inside, but finishes it really well. And it's a fantastic goal. He'd be really pleased with that.
You're smiling away.
That's not what he said about the defending when it actually happened.
It was
far worse. I mean, he's spot on. I mean, certainly back like that when you're fighting for top four. I mean, that was really great feat from Buonanotte, as Simon said. And that's when we talk about Jamie Vardy, the desire just to get across the centre half and just play that ball first time into Buonanotte, for him then to go and do, he's bright, he's good with the ball, he's got quick feet. He's got similar strengths to El Khanous. If you get those two in the same team, and I know it has happened this season, maybe not as often as Leicester fans would have liked, but I mean, I think it's an absolute tremendous. And we speak about, this group's got togetherness and spirit. I mean, they showed all those strengths this afternoon.
Let's bring Matt in from the City Ground. Matt, it'd be great to get your thoughts on Facundo Buonanotte's performance this afternoon.
Yeah, I think similar to what Lads have mentioned there, Ewan in particular, about Buonanotte. He's had a frustrating season for himself, hasn't he? Moments of inspiration. He was the bright spot in the early stage of the season, and he was one of the reasons, for a lot of hope for what laid ahead. That didn't materialise, but he's been a bit stop-start. I think he had a little bit of an injury, didn't he? But then even when he's been fit and raring, he hasn't always featured from the outset, and that's caused a lot of discontent, shall we say, or certainly frustration from the Leicester supporters, because he does have that ability to do something out of the ordinary. He's put on there today to do a job that the game was sort of slipping away from Leicester today. Forest had upped the ante when they came out for the second half, and then Leicester needed something to change in their direction, and he was the man to sort of initiate that, really. And then I think the other players fed off it. But listen, without doubt, he's a talented individual. Everyone knows that. You know that as soon as you see him in possession of a football. What his situation will be next year, we don't know, do we? But I think a lot of Leicester City supporters will be hopeful that he remains at the King Power. Yeah,
I'm sure Leicester fans would love to see him still in a Leicester shirt next season. Lots of people getting in touch. David says that Buonanotte put in a brilliant show. James, very complimentary about Jeremy Monger as well, who came on and just looked really lively but full of confidence as well.
Yeah, I think that's what you get with, and let's be fair, he's a really, really young lad. They're not afraid to try things. They're quite brave. They're not afraid to make mistakes. And from the first second he came on, he was really positive. I mean, he got one where he's cut in from that right-hand side, and he's bent one with his left foot. It's just gone narrowly past the Forest right-hand post. But then the chance that he has to go win the game, could he have kept it down? Could he have sort of got his body over that ball a little bit more and kept it down and caused Sells, who made a bit of a hash of it, in all honesty. But, I mean, bright future, a really, really bright future.
He's got that youthful exuberance that he's got, as you said, he's got no fear. He's got no scar tissue. He's not emotionally scarred from what's happened this season, like some of the first team players who'll be going out onto a pitch, either here at the King Power away games, where they're worried about how they're going to play because of the mental situation. This young kid's got a bright future. He's got some talent. And yeah, he could be he's going to be the future of Leicester City if he keeps working hard, keeps grounded, and keeps doing what he's been taught over the last few years at the academy level. But yeah, he's made an impact today, and long may it continue.
What's your message when you work with young players like that?
Just go and enjoy yourselves. Your career can be finished very quickly. Before you know it, you sat on a sofa like us, and you're thinking, God, was that 30 odd years ago? You know what I mean? So it can go very quickly. Enjoy every moment. Keep working hard. Keep being grounded, but just go and make an impact. Especially when you're coming off the bench, all you want to say to your players, whether young or old, go and make an impression to you as a manager, coach, but to your supporters as well. And he's done that today in a short space of time.
Yeah, that's what I'm really interested in, actually. We'll ask Matt about that. Matt, with the second half performance from Leicester City, obviously we were watching it through the television here, but you saw the reaction of the Blue Army. How did they respond to the positive end to the game from Leicester?
But I think the travelling fans have been unbelievable, not just all season, but particularly of late. You know, since it's been inevitable that Leicester were going to get relegated, they could be forgiven for being at least despondent and, you know, a bit grumpy, or not even bothering and turning up. But they haven't. They've travelled in their droves, and again today, I suppose they're excited by the prospects of coming to Nottingham and local rivalry, etc. So it brings a bit of spice to the fixture, regardless of relegation or not. But you know, some supporters could be forgiven for shying away from it, because thinking, oh, we're going on a hiding to nothing a little bit. But that didn't prove to be the case, and they would have been a really important factor, I think, to drive the players on, because if ever there was anyone out there on the playing front who sort of thought, well, I'll go with him myself, and we'll just sort of see this game out, it doesn't really matter. But those supporters, as soon as they glance an eye towards them, then that reminds you that you're there. You've got to show up. You've got to front up, and I think they would have been definitely a source of inspiration. But they were certainly the happier of the two sets of fans come the final whistle. There was a few boos, believe it or not. Probably a frustration more than discontent from the Nottingham Forest supporters, but the Leicester supporters were all up off their seats, cheering and clapping and acknowledging the players, and that was reciprocated. It's incredible, really, how football supporters react and battle on, isn't it? Because they could be forgiven for thinking, right, I've had enough of this season, I'll just go away, recharge and set myself for the next campaign. But they certainly are die-hard. Yeah,
amazing turnout from the Blue Army at Forest. Lots of you getting in touch as well, so thank you for your messages. Steve says, long last, some spirit, get in there. And also a bonus of messing up Forest's hopes of Champions League, happy days. And Adam says, that's the fight and togetherness that we've been asking for and putting a dent in Forest Champions League hopes. Matt was just saying about how there were boos at the end from Forest fans. How do you react to that, considering the season they have and also what they can still achieve? They've just made it into Europe today.
Don't forget, not the boos. You see the owner on there having a go at the manager, the coach, and you're like, what?
That's disgraceful.
He's bang out of order doing that. He's got a reputation for being a little bit sort of crazy situation. But you don't go onto the pitch as an owner. But from a Leicester perspective, you like to see the home fans booing the team, because a lot of Forest fans today, when we think it's a given that they're going to turn up today, against the team that are relegated, nothing to play for, 3 points, going to the top 5. But football doesn't work like that.
There's always something to play for in a game like that.
100%. We said before the game, it's about the pride and passion that you have to show for as an individual, but for collectively for the shirt as well in the team.
As a team, you always have a blip in the season. There's not too many sides that will go a 38-game season without having a bit of a blip. Theirs is coming just at the wrong time, at the sort of final hurdle, if you like. But, I mean, for the fans to boo them, I find that hard to believe, considering where they were this time last year and where they are now. And for the owner to come on like that and sort of look like he was having a right go at Nuno, I think that's absolute disgraceful. I think it shows a lack of respect as well for Leicester, because I tell you what, that wasn't a smash and grab. I've just looked at the statistics. Yeah, Forest had a little bit more possession, which you'd expect, them being at home. Leicester had more shots on target and had as many corners in that game. So it wasn't lucky, it wasn't fortunate. We deserved it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about some of the key moments. So it all started, this seems quite a long time ago. Connor Cody getting on the score sheet. Lovely goal, an unexpected goal scorer today. But that really started Leicester in a positive mood after a tough start in the game.
We weathered the first, and that's as you know, Si, when you go away from home, you say, right, you weather the first 15, 20 minutes, you get through that unscathed, keep it.
And Forest did have some good chances.
In the first 5 minutes, didn't he?
He normally scores at least
but
one
then
of
I thought we really grew into the game. Casey McAteer does really well with the initial header from just outside the box to head it down to El Kanous, who shot takes a slight deflection, decent save, but as Simon said at half-time, could he have parried it away from danger? He didn't. And there to pick up the pieces was Connor Cody.
Who looked as surprised as anybody scoring, didn't he?
Disappointing couple of goals. First one's really avoidable, set piece, which wasn't a free kick, but then free header for Morgan Gibbs-White. And I understand the ball in from Gibbs-White for the second, but as a centre forward, if I can see, say if Simon's picking me up, if I can see Simon's number, I'm happy because I know he hasn't got a clue where I am.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. He's just pulled off James Justin, who hasn't adjusted his body, and it's a good header, great ball in. But as I said, the way the lads responded after getting that early setback in the second half was top class. You
were waxing lyrical about that Gibbs-White pass for the second goal.
Yeah, it was a great ball. He's put it into an area where you're a centre forward like you, and all it's saying is get some contact onto it, hit the target, and you've got an opportunity, because he's put it into that sort of area between, I think it was Faz and Justin, where he's not been able to get round on the cover as quickly as he'd like to do, probably because of the early nature of the ball into the box. And it is an unbelievable ball, and to finish it like he did, just what Chris Wood has been doing all season, hasn't he?
Yeah, well, let's talk about the defensive side of things. Matty Elliott, for both the Forest goals, what were your takes on them?
I'm going back. Hang on. First goal. Where are we?
We got the free header for Gibbs-White.
Of course, yeah. Sorry, oh, God.
It was a long time ago. It's all right,
mate. I was nodding off. I was nodding off.
He hasn't had his pudding yet. No,
Larry and
biscuits, if you don't mind.
Larry and you and waffling away. I was nodding off, mate. Sorry, but it's going to be disappointing. It was a great delivery, good run, good timing from Forest's point of view. But if you concede in that area of your penalty area, well, in and around the 6-yard box, you can't afford the opposition that sort of space. Only defence, I suppose, is they were looking out for other people, more obvious targets. Maybe they've got 4 individuals there, 6 foot plus, that perhaps they were keeping an eye on and didn't expect Gibbs-White to pop up. But you've got to try and cover all angles in those situations. And conceding at any set piece is disappointing. Larry will tell you, as a manager, I'm sure it's eternally frustrating, isn't it? But could do better in that instance. The second goal, the boys have just mentioned it there. The only possible grievance you could have or criticism is James Justin to get round on that cover that Larry was speaking about. But it happened so quickly. I think the ball was turned over. Kanous was in possession, wasn't he? There was dubious whether it was a foul or not. I think Sangare just rolled it forward, and then Gibbs-White, the most creative player on the pitch today, over the completion of the game. It's a beautiful ball, wasn't it, into that area, and Chris Wood will just gobble them up all day long. You could say there was time for Justin to get back round and just be an interference and nudge Wood out the way, but that would be nitpicking a little bit. But it was quality on both occasions from Forest, but you can always do better as a defender, can't you? You can always look at it and say, I could have done that, but unfortunately it's not always the case. But no glaring mistakes. Leicester didn't hand or present anything to Forest from memory on a plate to anyone, and that makes a nice change as well. They weren't carved open easily. There was a sort of togetherness and determination about the display, and the only thing that it leaves the question open, doesn't it? Where was that earlier in the season? People are going to be asking that, aren't they? But what's done is done, I suppose. But going forward, that was positive today.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt questioning where was that togetherness and spirit all season, and that will be the frustrating thing, of course, for Leicester City fans looking back on today's game and the what ifs. So many people getting in touch, and thank you for your messages saying, could have won that. Yeah. And that's not been a feeling much of this season, that Leicester pushing to the end thinking they can win again.
It's one of them, isn't it, that everybody will be saying, why have we not showed this spirit, and what's the mantra here, Foxes never quit. And it's been missing so dramatically all season, hasn't it? But one thing we said before the game was at least finish the season on a positive manner, show some desire, some hunger, some togetherness, and get some good results. Even though it's just a draw last week, a win at home last week and a draw, it's 4 points out of 6. And if you can carry that into the next 2 games, the mindset becomes different within the group of players that are going to be here next year. Maybe stays or whatever, but it's more for the supporters. They might have a little bit more of a positive attitude going into the Championship campaign next year, and it's so important that people are seeing that today.
Yeah, Ruud van Nistelrooy is doing his media duties at the moment, and you'll be able to see his interviews pop up on the Leicester City socials in the coming hours, so do check those out, see what he thought of today's game. What will he be thinking going into these next 2 games, Ewan? Ipswich at home next week, and then finishing the season at Bournemouth.
I mean, take one game at a time. Next week, win the game at home, finish at home on a high. Give a very special player the send-off that he deserves. On his 500th appearance for the club, let's hope he can get his 200th goal for Leicester City. You know,
and 50th assist maybe.
That's a great shout. Who's told you that one? Go and finish on a high. And you know, everything's up in the air at the minute. Who's going to be here? You know, Israel's going to be the man to hopefully lead the club back into the Premier League. There's a lot of questions to be answered in the upcoming weeks. But I mean, today, just going back to today, I thought it was great for those Leicester fans who have followed the club through thick and thin this year. There's some tough times, we know that, and that is mentally and physically draining on players. They don't go out there not to try, but when you're losing game after game after game after game, it does drain you. It's disappointing. It's a little bit too late to come into the form that they have. You know,
one other little positive today is the goal was scored where the Leicester fans were. If that's scored at the other end, Leicester supporters are celebrating, but with it being at the end where
celebrating with the players,
it's more, there's more togetherness about it. It feels more special that an equaliser in front of you in your travelling supporters as well.
And it was nice to know that Jamie Vardy was watching us pre-match for you two to say, not today, Jamie. Do it next week. Get that goal, because had a couple of opportunities, didn't he? A couple of half chances today.
Well, at least we made a decision, not like Matt sitting on the fence saying, "Oh, I'm not quite sure today or next week." Anyway, but it's all set up for next week, isn't it?
He had that one chance, I thought, where we spoke about Forest counter-attacking. We had a 3v1, and Buenanotte was carrying that ball really high at the pitch, and I just think, had his pass been a little bit further in front of Jamie Vardy, so he could have had a touch to take it into the box and then shot. But it was a little bit behind him. He sort of tried to cut inside, tried to feed Casey McAteer. He's keeping it for next week. Guaranteed.
Well, it will be a special day at King Power Stadium next weekend, whatever the result, of course. Leicester City fans really going to get a big chance to say goodbye to Jamie Vardy. So if you're coming to King Power Stadium, we'll, of course, see you then. If not, of course, Matchday Live will be here for you as well, with all the build-up to the game and full commentary. And then we will finish the season on the South Coast at Bournemouth as Leicester City prepared to say goodbye to the Premier League, but hopefully for only a short time. Certainly some real great, maybe early shoots of recovery shown today with that performance at Nottingham Forest. Thank you so much to Simon and to Ewan for joining us, and to Niall and Matt Elliott at the City Ground. And thank you for watching Matchday Live.